Hey folks, Will Owen here with JetBoatPilot.com. Here today to show you how to properly install your new thrust vectors. This video is a renewed version. We just had one that we replaced basically with the new hardware, so this is the updated version as of June of 2011. I want to jump right into this install by going ahead and showing you where to start. As we go along, just pay attention. I'm going to have a few things to show you, some specifics on how to make sure that you've got the right torque value, the right tightness, and just some things that'll make your install easier, so just go ahead and watch. The first thing that you're going to want to do as you get started, once you've got your parts all kind of set aside, is to take off your factory bolt on the left-hand side. I've got a 12mm wrench today. We'll go ahead and pull that loose. All your factory bolts are going to be 12mm. Once you do your installation, the bolt on the right side is actually a 13mm. But anyway, for this purpose, it's a 12. Also notice as I bring this out, I've got a bolt, I've got a washer, and I've got a spacer. Do you see the spacer coming out? That spacer needs to come out. That does not need to stay inside. We're going to actually update or upgrade your spacer to a longer spacer, and this is what your fin is going to ride on. Okay, so I got that out. First thing we'll do is go ahead and install this through your left side fin. And because the factory, if you'll kind of get the camera in here, I don't know if you can see this or not, the factory has a casting mark. Excuse me, there it is right there. It's right here. That casting mark there, we put this nylon washer on to prevent this from rubbing against the casting mark, okay? So once you've got that on, the first thing you want to do is go ahead and just line this up and get it to where it's threading in. You want to make sure that your spacer goes all the way through. And the proper way to determine if you've got the right torque value on this is to make sure that once you've got your wrench out, this bolt on this side is going to use the 5mm Allen wrench that we provide with the kit. But once you've got this part installed, what you want to look at is to make sure that you've got it tightened down, if you can get the camera around here, and you want to make sure that your spacer is touching down on the side of the nozzle. You see how inside there that metal standoff now is touching the nozzle? Once you see that happening, just give it a good snug. About 10 foot-pounds of torque is the maximum, but just so that you know, you need to make sure that's compressed against the side. That's all that you need to do. And do not put Loctite on this bolt at this time. Loctite can potentially make this bolt want to stick if you needed to take it back apart, okay? So don't do that, okay? So that side there is now properly torqued down. We're going to move over to the right side now and do the right side bolt. Once again, I got my 12mm wrench here. We'll go ahead and break this loose here and pull out the original factory bolt. Notice how I'm doing this before I assemble the cross member together with the fins. This makes it easier to put everything together, and then what the last step you'll do is install the cross member, okay? Once again, I'm pulling the bolt out. I got the bolt, I got the washer, and I've got that spacer. See, the spacer did come out, so that's good. Okay, we got our right side fin here. Notice your right side fin is distinguishable by having the spring hole and also this little flat edge here. So that's your first indicator. Also, another little thing too I want to point out, when this comes in out of the packaging, see the little screw on top? We send that to you assembled that way to ensure quality, that these screws all work properly when you get them home. So disassemble this first. We'll set that aside for now. And the way you're going to want to install this is to put this through like that. There's no washer on this side because there's no casting mark on this side. That's all that washer's for, is for the casting mark. Okay? So once you've got that, just like that, you'll go ahead and stick it in the hole, and then just align your threads. Go ahead and spin it in. Make sure that your reverse gate does not get in the way and doesn't kink up on this thing. This is where you're going to use your 13mm ratchet as well. So go ahead and get this spun on. What I'm doing is I'm keeping an eye inside here. I want to make sure that I don't see any more threads, and that the solid piece of metal there that you're seeing right here, I want to make sure that that touches down on the side of the nozzle. So that's what I'm eyeballing now. Still got a little more travel to go. You'll notice that it's getting a little bit tighter right now, and that's because of the chrome process. Each of these threads is coated in chrome. That chrome is there to prevent dissimilar metal corrosion. So that's why this is a little bit tight right now. Now that I've got this thing tightened, I just saw it stop. And so now it's there. I'll just give it a little snug. Not a lot. On this side, because you've got the spring is going to keep this bolt in tension so it can't back itself off. Just a little snug is fine. Never exceed about 10 foot-pounds of torque, okay? Now that I've got that in place, I'll go ahead and put my spring on. And I want you to note I've got two lengths on the legs. I've got a long leg and I've got a short leg. Your long leg is going to go into the fin. So what you'll do is you'll install the spring on over the center of the bolt first, stick it through, and just a little bit of manipulation here and it'll just slide right on in. There we go. Alright, so you can get a good shot of that there. Notice the position of the short leg right now without the preload sits at about the 4 o'clock position. The next step we're going to do is put the tensioner on. This is your tensioner. It's a single hole tensioner. We're going to slide this on like this, down on the short leg. It's going to rotate around and up. And if you notice right now, that's with no preload. Sitting up on the hex, that's pointing down, there's no real tension, okay? What you're going to need to do is preload this. So back it off. You're going to rotate your spring up to where this leg is pointing towards the bow. That's about the 3 o'clock position. Once that is pointing towards the 3 o'clock position, that's the proper load, okay? And you'll also notice too with the spring, see how it sits at a slight angle? You can look at it from the back side here with the camera. See how it sits at a slight angle? That's normal. That's fine. The little white spacer that you saw inside, let me show you this real quick here. This little white spacer that you saw, that's only there to prevent the metal from rubbing on the metal. That's what that's there for. It's going to have a little slop inside. Don't worry about that. You're fine. That is just to prevent metal rubbing, okay? Now that I've got that torque down, I've got a screw that I just took out just a moment ago. And this is the first step where you're going to use Loctite. This part doesn't need to come loose. Obviously this is what spring loads your tension on your spring. So just give it a little bit of Loctite. Make sure your washer goes back on there. And this has got a wrench that comes with the kit. This is a 3/16 Allen key wrench that we supplied with the kit. Let's go ahead and thread that in. This does not have to be tight. All you need to do is get this to where it seats itself, and that's all. You don't need to put a lot of torque on that. It's not going anywhere with that Loctite on there, and you don't want to over torque this here. Like I said before, that bottom bolt there is already torqued, the spring's holding it in tension, and now this is just there to hold this in place, so it's fine. I didn't put a lot of tension on that at all. Okay, so now I've got spring tension here. This side is also mounted. My next step is to go ahead and install the cross member. So you're going to get with the kit these barrel fasteners. And the barrel fasteners, the easiest way to install those is to disassemble, and then you're going to put them on one at a time. Go ahead and put the barrel, which is going to be this hollow part here, go ahead and put that into your cross member. And we'll do this right side first since the camera's already over here. Go ahead and put that in to the slot here. And then what you're going to want to do is come back and secure with one of the screws. Notice I didn't put that down tightly yet. What I want to do is go back and put some Loctite on each of these. This step is critical. If you don't put Loctite on this step, you can sling this cross member off or lose a screw or whatever, and you don't need to do that. Make sure that you Loctite all 4 of these locations. I'll come back and tighten these in just a minute here. We also provide a wrench to go with this kit as well for this particular part. This is the little 1/8 inch Allen key that comes with the kit. And the little trick that I've learned to make this process easier and faster on the back side is just use a dime. It's the easiest way. It goes on the back side of your barrel fastener, and it holds it real tight. Just give it a nice snug. There you go there. And then we'll duplicate this on the other side. Go ahead and put some Loctite on. This is also the blue Loctite, which means it's a medium hardness, and that means later on down the road, if you want to break these loose, you can actually get them loose. Some people were concerned about that. A little bit more Loctite here. Also, too, it's a bit easier to spin this on if you've already got it on the wrench. Alright. Grab my dime again. And that's it. So everything is good. We have full travel. Notice that the cross member does not touch the reverse gate, it clears. You've got good torque on the side here. We're at 3 o'clock. If you will give me one more angle real quick, I want to show you one more thing. On this side, on the other side where the spring is, the proper tension, if you'll bring the camera right in beside, is with the spring arm pointing towards the bow. At that position, that's 3 o'clock. If you want to tighten it to a higher preload, you can do that, but don't exceed about 2 o'clock. That's this position right about here. You can give it maybe one more notch if you want a little more tension. Other than that, that's it. For more information about the thrust vectors, of course, you can go to our website and see the other videos that we have for the product. Each of these nozzles is exactly the same, so obviously from here forward, just duplicate these steps on the other nozzle. And that's it. Thanks for watching today. If you have any questions, feel free to call us. Sales@jetboatpilot.com for email, or 850-960-3236. Thanks. Have a great day.